Toy-polloi, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a toy restorer who does not exist. Toy-polloi, a young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the broken, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of collectors who operate above the law.
Welcome to Toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today we're going to be looking at making a replacement logo for the front of these vintage Mack figures, or Action Jacks as some people may know them. Back when these were first released, they were produced by a company called Lesney and Matchbox, and they started out as a very different looking figure. As you can see here, this is a Mark I version of this Mack figure, and most people possibly won't recognise the look of this figure because he's soon changed into a Mark II, which is what this guy is here. You can see there's quite a difference in the two figures. And then this later on was sort of remade again, and that is what turned into Action Jacks, which is this guy here. So there are three sort of figures that all started out as one little toy. And as you can see, these early versions that were called Mack or Mobile Action Command have little logos on the front of them. The Mark I figures have a sticker on the front. You can just about see that there. It's got black on one side and red on the other, and in the middle there's a picture of the planet Earth. The Mark II versions here have that actually printed on the chest, but both of these suffer from the sort of similar problems that wears off over time. And I can show you here, this is a Mark I Mack figure. As you can see, that sticker is completely missing and he looks a little bit plain without it, and the ones on these Mark IIs just tends to rub off. It's only sort of printed on, so a little bit of sort of play wear and that will actually come off. So today we are going to make new stickers for these Mack figures. The first thing I do when working out how to make a new sticker is actually take a load of measurements. So I've taken a very small ruler and measured how big the logo should be on the Mark I figure. I've also measured the exact same thing on the Mark II figure, although that is printed on, as I say. I'm going to make a sticker because I think that's the only way to get a decent sort of replacement to that. And I then take those measurements into Photoshop and do some work and create new versions of these old logos. And after a short amount of work, I've managed to make a file that I can then print out onto, this is a sticky backed glossy paper, so it gives a nice sort of shine to it. The original stickers actually look like they do have a little bit of shine left in them. You can see this is quite an old figure, but if I rotate that in my lights, you can see how shiny it is. It's gone a little bit yellow with age, so I imagine when it was first printed, it would have been a nice crisp white like that. So I've printed these onto some glossy sticky packed white paper. Now these are exactly the right size. You can see that there's a grey line around it. You need to cut that off for when you're sort of attaching it to the figures, and this file will be available from toy-polloi.com if you want to do this to your own Mac figures. I've got some scissors here, and I'm going to very carefully cut around these logos. I think even I'll cut one off the sheet first because that makes it a lot easier to deal with, so that we can just cut that out separately. But they are going to be quite small, and then I'm going to use a tiny pair of tweezers to actually apply this to the figure. That's the problem when working with things this small. They are incredibly fiddly to deal with if you've got large hands. I'm sure as a child I probably would have been able to do this a lot easier, but as I get older it just gets a little bit more awkward. And there we go, that is the first logo. I do have a pair of tweezers here. I'm going to use this one as a guide. You can see they're not sort of placed particularly neatly, it's just sort of randomly put across the chest, but the black side of the emblem does go towards the left. So I'll just take that off there. We can stick this onto one of these Mark 1 figures like so. There you go, it does make quite a big difference. It goes from being a sort of fairly plain figure to having a little bit of interest on it. Now I don't have a Mark II figure with the logo missing, so what I'm going to do is stick that onto an Action Jack figure so that we can sort of get the same result. So these figures have a slightly different chest. You can see this is a little bit flatter on the front. This one's got a bit more sort of defined pecs, but it will still look just as good. So again, I can take my scissors here. We'll cut this one out. This is a much smaller logo again. Even fiddlier to work on, I would guess, but it should make quite a big difference to this figure. Again, we're going to be cutting the grey line off. You just want a sort of white edge to this little emblem. So very neatly cut that down. I can see I've left a little bit of grey on there, so let's just remove that. And again, I'm going to use my tweezers just because this is so small. I don't think I'll be able to get the backing off without the tweezers. There's the sticker. So we use that one as a guide. You can see it's just on his left side with the black again pointing to the left. And we can stick that on. So you can actually make an Action Jack look like a Mark II Mac figure. That looks pretty nice. And there you go, these are the finished figures. This was actually a pretty quick thing to do. Generally, fixing toys like this, when it's just making a new logo, they are pretty straightforward projects for me, but certainly things that I like doing. I need to say a massive thank you as well to Michael Light and to Bob James, who very kindly supplied some bits for this and requested that I do a repair onto these old Mac figures. So I hope this video has been of interest to you. If you've enjoyed it, then hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And hello again, just for a little extra bit that I thought I'd tack on the end of this video, because if you're a collector of Action Jacks, you will be well aware that there's no such thing as a mint Action Jack. Every single one of them will have some sort of paint wear and paint damage. The paint applications on these figures, even when they were new, was pretty terrible. It just chips off, especially the black paint that's used on the feet, and pretty much every head has been painted really quite roughly. You can see this is a spray paint application, and it's a sort of very messy sort of job. Some of them have bits missing or bits that were never painted. You know, they're all just pretty cheaply done. This was an incredibly cheap figure at the time, so don't expect them to be very good quality at all. But I thought I would just give a little bit of a paint application to this one here, who's missing most of the paint on his feet. I'm not going to sort of do anything to his head because I actually like the fact these are so badly painted, but I thought I'd just have a go at his feet. This one's got almost no paint left on it at all. So I'm going to be using some Humble acrylic paints. This is number 33, which is a matte black, and again the paint sort of varies. You can see that one's got a little bit of a sort of gloss finish to it, but this one is a very matte finish, what's left of him. So you can sort of paint whatever finish you want on them. I'm going to be doing matte today, although I could just put a top coat on it, which is a 135, which gives it a bit of a gloss finish, but I will be sticking with matte for today. So I've already mixed this paint up. I'm just going to get a little bit on my brush and we'll paint this figure and make him look like, well, I'm going to say as good as new. It's probably better than new because I don't think I've ever seen one of these. Even a mint one in the box tends to look a little bit rough, so this could end up looking better than it originally did, sort of straight out of the box. It's amazing what a difference a small application of paint can actually make to a figure like this. It already looks a whole load better just by painting a little bit of black on his feet. Now the figure I featured earlier in this video, which is the one that I stuck the sticker on to make it look a little bit more like a Mac figure, I think we might as well go ahead and we'll paint him as well to make him look fully like a Mac figure, because this is the Mac version. You can see he actually has painted hands. So if we paint his hands and paint his feet up, it'll look a lot more like this Mark II version. The feet on these Mac figures are actually plastic and moulded separately, so you can rotate them round. You can see that's a different sort of construction. The Action Jacks, the feet are sort of solidly moulded on, but just for a bit of a laugh, and I've got so many of these figures, they're so easy to find, let's paint this guy up so he looks like a Mac figure as well. So first up, we'll finish off his boots. We'll repaint those because these are all quite damaged, and then we'll paint his hands as well. And here you go, with the paint dry, you can see it does actually make quite a big difference to the figures. It's amazing how scruffy they look when the paint is all chipped off of their boots like that, and even with the hair still not sort of touched up or repaired at all, that figure looks a lot more presentable. But as I say, you're very unlikely to find an Action Jack with paint in any sort of decent state. They just don't come like that. You can see I have bags of them here, and every single one of them is in a pretty rough condition. That is just what they are like, and that is how you should collect them. But I just thought I'd show you a little extra bit on the end of this video, showing that a bit of paint on them does make quite a big difference. And here is the one that I painted the hands of as well, to make it look more like the Mac Mark II version of the figure, just because I've stuck the sticker on there. And yeah, it makes quite a big difference to that figure, but as I say, that's not how they originally came. They just came with the painted feet. So hope that little additional bit was of interest to you, and thanks for watching.